2 weeks ago, we started this series called Fall in Love Without Falling Apart, where we're going through the book of Proverbs, talking about relationships, romance, falling in love. And the first week, man, you guys responded so well. It was really cool. And then it snowed out week number 2. And if you felt like a lot of conviction from week 1, just know the Lord was on your side for week 2. Because as we talked about the kind of person you should be looking for, some of you, it was going to be a learning experience. Sadly, we're not going to go back and pick that up. So it's just tough. I know. So you'll never know. You'll just be wandering aimlessly through the halls going, I don't know if you're in the one. Swipe, whatever. So I've got so many things to say, and I'm not going to. Tonight, however, we're going to move forward and finish the series, and I've invited some friends to come and join us. Now, let me set this up for you about what's about to happen, because some of you, especially if you're new, you're like, and you're single, you're like, what the heck? Why did I come to this service? I'm not married. Why do I need to learn about marriage? Or this is not what I want to, who knows if I'll ever get married? I don't want to get married. What's this for me? Here's why we're doing tonight. A couple reasons. Some of it we'll talk about from Proverbs in a second. But fundamentally, I always want to learn ahead of doing something before I do it. Like I would rather learn before I need the information. And so we're talking about marriage tonight with the sort of the subheading, Save Your Marriage Before It Starts, which is a great book, by the way, if you haven't read it. So I stole that title. But I think you can already start preparing yourself to be the right kind of person to succeed when you are at this part of your relationship. Yeah. And so I want to do that. Secondly, our world and culture does a really poor job at giving us good models of what we should and shouldn't do. Okay, newsflash to some of you. You should not plan or expect your marriage to look like things that happen in the movies or television. It's a lie. And also, you have, in many of those relationships through like television, or let's just relationships through a movie, the movie is 2 hours long, which means you cut out whole years of them interacting. So the whole thing gets sandwiched. So you miss all the actual hard work of what a relationship should be. And if you expect to get a happy ending with only spending 2 hours of investment in a relationship, just know it's not going to happen. You got to have the whole long look. So tonight, I wanted to bring some people who I respect, people who you know and I know, so we can learn from them. We're going to laugh along the way. We're going to look at some interesting questions and thoughts. But at your handout first, kind of the setup for this is some verses from Proverbs. This whole section, Proverbs chapter 14 through 21, it's really about Proverbs 12, if off the top of my head. It's a whole section that just says Proverbs of Solomon, and he's talking to his son. He's giving advice to his kid. So with that, let me just do some damage control before we start, because some of these comments are geared at his son. So when he talks about the spouse of his son, by just logic, he is going to talk about his son's what? Wife. So it is a completely fair interpretive choice in translation. And if anyone would like to take it up with me afterwards, feel free, because I think I have more Hebrew than you do. In this situation, to read these terms, not when it comes to, when he says the word wife, you can think in terms of spouse. And when it talks about husband or man, I think you can think in terms of the word person or you. So let me give you the first example of this. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 1. Solomon, talking to his son, says, a wise woman builds her home. I think it's a fair statement to say a wise person builds her home, or builds his home. Builds a home. But a foolish woman or a foolish person tears it down with their own hands. Are you with me so far? Yeah. Now, sometimes, let me step out of this for a second. People who don't make that wise interpretive choice will use these verses to be stupid. And just know, they are not making good interpretive choices. They're being stupid. So, the next one. The person who finds a spouse finds a treasure. Because remember, he's talking to his son. If he was talking to his daughter, you know what he would have said? A person who finds a husband finds a treasure. So, we're going to look at all these things. The person who finds a wife, who finds a spouse, finds a treasure, and receives favor from the Lord. Proverbs 19, verse 3. People ruin their lives by their own foolishness and then are angry at the Lord. Well, that has a whole lot to do with a whole lot of things other than marriage, right? God, how did I get here? God's like, well, you walked. How did this happen? God's like, I don't know. I told you to go right. You went left. Proverbs 19:14. Fathers can give their sons an inheritance of houses and wealth, but only the Lord can give an understanding wife. Or vice versa. Only the Lord can give an understanding spouse. This one's the one that's been misused. It's better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome, and I put the word anyone. Doesn't matter whether it's husband, wife, kid, or neighbor. It's better to live alone in the corner of an attic, to live alone with that. Watch your tongue and keep your mouth shut, and you'll stay out of trouble. And all God's people said, Amen. I encourage you, if you want to go this even further, is take Proverbs 13 through about Proverbs 22 and read them all in the context of relationships and marriage and how each one of these apply and how it works together. So now what we're going to do is this. I've invited a couple people. I'm going to name them all, and then they're all going to join us. And we're going to spend about the next 20, 25 minutes just talking about relationships and marriage. David and Rachel Stafford have been key leaders and involved in young adult ministry since as long as I have been involved in it. You know them well, and their life speaks as loudly as their words. Sharon and Angus Lewis are some of the youngest young adults in our entire church. Okay? They've been married for a significant portion of time. And we love them, and they come. The reason they come is because they love you. And so we want to learn from them. Grayson and Abby Wade are my good friends. They're missionaries, leaders in our group, super involved in all kinds of life, from working in a public school to teaching and training people about Jesus. And then the most important person, my wife Heidi, is joining, who will feed your heart, feed your soul, and feed you with sourdough bread if you ask her. And so I'd like to ask all my friends, would they come and join me on the stage? Listen. Brownie points, that's just smart. I don't know what you're talking about. So let's do this real fast. And just in case everyone doesn't know you, Rachel, start at the end. Introduce yourself and how long you guys have been married. And let's lead with, since Solomon busted on the wives, let's lead with the wives, start taking the lead on this one. So introduce your husbands and how long you have been married. How many do you have? I don't know. How many husbands do you have? Okay.
My name is Rachel Stafford, and I have one husband who is the only person I ever dated. Aww. And we've been married 16 years. Okay. This is David Stafford. Okay.
Hello. This is Grayson. I'm going to be honest, he's not the only person I ever dated, but we don't have to talk about it. We don't have to talk about it.
Sorry for starting that.
Sorry. This is off to an awesome start.
This is off to a great start. So, Grayson, tell me about the girls. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's just unpack that real quick. We've been married 5 years. And did I say your name already? Grayson. I'm Abby. 5 years.
I'm Heidi. We have been married 25 years. And you all know Randy. So.
I'm Sharon, and this is Angus. We will have been married 52 years on February the
12th. So you see a little bit, 52 years, 25 years, 5 years, 16 years. There's a purposeful choice. You're going to see us all different phases of our relationships. And so, guys, what's one thing you love about your spouse?
Am I leading off here? So Rachel does not judge me, and she does not carry, she doesn't harbor bad feelings. Like some people carry like resentment against their spouse for a little while if they do something wrong or out of turn. So Rachel doesn't do that. So that's probably what I actually appreciate the most.
That's good. Yeah, I would say Abby's ability to see the good in people. And she just does a great job of not jumping to conclusions and giving people the benefit of the doubt. And as David mentioned, I'm thankful she did that for me.
Sharon keeps me on an even keel. I'm a worst case scenario kind of person, and I can come up with some humdingers. And she says it'll be all right, and it is.
You know what? That's basically the same thing I would say with Heidi. What I love about her is consistency. We don't have to worry about her being all over the place. Like yesterday, I got really upset about something, was genuinely really hurt and frustrated, and I'm texting her, so why am I so upset about this? And she just gives me a basic logical answer, which sometimes is not what I love about her. But it's what I'm most grateful for about her, because when I need it, that's what happens, and that's what she's there for. I'd also say that you won't find, no offense to the rest of you, a better mother in our entire life. Someone who loves kids and raises them well. So, good stuff. So we were talking about love. So, David, Rachel, how would you define love? How do you, true love? True love. Like, how would you define that?
We were talking about this earlier. We're like, man, this is hard to put into words. I mean, unless you just want to quote 1 Corinthians 13.
Well, just do the Bible. That's a good way out. Thanks. Appreciate that.
But I mean, one thing that I was thinking about is that you want that other person to be the best person that they are, and that you're willing to sacrifice, or that you're selfless in order to make that happen.
I would say, I'd piggyback on that and say that love is, we take 1 Corinthians 13 and all of the values that are entrenched in that. And when we look in the context of dating, you wrap those up into the idea of you're going to take those values with a person into the future. And then as you go through the marriage process, it gets wrapped up into your present and then your past as you get older and you're married longer. So we see these values that we see ideally in our marriage and in who we are and who we want to be. And we see that, and we take our marriages and dating relationships and we try to pass that into that.
Sharon, Angus, how would y'all define love?
If I had been asked to give that a definition of love, I don't know that there is a definition. Love means everything from loving ice cream to chocolate to your husband. But if I didn't really mean to put that last. If I had defined love 52 years ago, it would have sounded a lot different. Because 52 years ago, we met when we were working together in the same company. And I had started kind of getting this crush on him, and I couldn't wait to get to work every morning because there was this really nice guy there. Yeah, I know it's sick to me, I know. But it was that excitement. It was that thumping heartbeat thing. But that love just, it's like a life form because it grows and it grows. And now it means so much more. It means a devotion. And I'm going to try, I don't know how much time we have. I'll tell this. We were asked to make some little video for Pastor Lane for Forever Free. And the video or the talk that night was on abiding. And our comment was, or my remark was, that when my husband leaves for work in the morning, we're so close and we love to be together so much. And when he leaves for work in the morning, I get this kind of a little emptiness. I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm not on anything. But I love the sound of my Life 360 at 3 o'clock when he's leaving work and I know he's coming home. I know.
Whoa.
Kind of tears me up.
Way to go, bro. No, give me that.
One word, surrender. I think our rights are measured differently when you're married. We release the hold on our rights, and if you both demand your rights, the conflict will only grow bigger. But if you just kind of let go of some of your rights and give up a little bit, surrender, there's no telling what God can do.
Did you notice the balance between values and commitment? At the same time, there was emotion and feeling. And so I think all of us, when we first fall in love, for the most part, we fall into feelings more than we fall into commitment. That's normal. That's just part of it. But that commitment, that surrender, those values, they remain when feelings go away. And I think a good indicator for you, if you're in a relationship and you never get past the feelings, you have a problem. I know that sounds antithetical to everything you think, but if it's just feelings change, and those other things sort of work together. So, Grace and Abby, most of the people in this room aren't married. So, when you were at that stage, single, dating somebody, what are some qualities, attributes, what are some stuff internally you wish you had right before you had gotten married that would have helped you when you're married? Because they may not be able to work on, they may not be Angus who leaves and like you're watching Life 360, but they can be working on their own selves right now. So what would that be?
I would say some misunderstandings I think we have culturally that I definitely had when we were in a committed relationship. I wish I realized that you'll never fully be ready to be married. And that's why you have to rely on really the Lord to tell you when you are ready. Because we used to go crazy. People at the church be like, well, you're all ready to get married? And I'd say, well, I've never been married before, so I don't know. That was something. But, really, the Lord just laid it on our heart and we knew it was time. And we definitely weren't ready in a sense, but God really brought us together and it all worked out. And then, when I was single, I wish I really would have realized that marriage doesn't solve all your problems. That I really think we had this feeling that it's like, if I could just get married, I'll be completed. And really a lot of the feelings you feel just in general about being single are just about being a human being. I mean, that's just part of life. Really what it meant is that we were able to share that feeling together of just going through life. And so the same problems you have now, the same problems you'll have after you get married. And so that kind of goes into the thing that I wish just across the board that I would have developed would have been a passion to work on myself. If you can't say you're sorry or you were wrong or, do whatever you need to do to go to counseling or have a mentor in your life, those are things you really have to work on.
And whatever, just like Grayson said, whatever is hurting you now, past hurts, things that keep you from having successful relationships now, they're not going to go away just because you say I do. And so whatever you're needing to work on now that you're struggling in a dating relationship or struggling with commitment or even friendships or things like that, that has to be worked on prior to being married, but also after being married. So a commitment to work on yourself, a commitment. I had to work specifically on a commitment to rely on somebody else. It was very big to me to be independent and be able to do whatever I needed, like by myself without anybody. And I had to learn to give that up a little bit.
What about you?
I took a little more practical thought of this, so I'm going to go a little sideways. But we got married at 23. We just graduated college not long before, and so up till that point, my dad kind of handled all of my money and my finances. He did my taxes for me, paid all my bills, and then we got married, and Randy took it over. So I never really learned before we got married how to budget, how to invest, how to take care of my money. And now even at this stage in life, I feel like I'm really behind. And we're teaching our girls now how to do that. And I feel like I'm starting from scratch. And if anything, God forbid, happened to Randy, I feel like I would be lost. So for someone who's way far ahead of you, if you are single and you don't have a grasp on how to take care of what you have, do it. Figure it out. Find a mentor. Find somebody who knows what they're doing so that you don't have to rely on somebody else. And if you have a lot of debt as a single person and you marry someone with a lot of debt, that's a lot that you have to overcome together. So my other practical advice is before you join yourself to somebody and mix debt, do what you can to take that down before you even come into it. So that's my practical wish I had done before we got married.
You marry someone's family and their credit card. And their student loans. It's a true story. And there's been a couple times in premarital counseling where we have talked to some people and said, have you run a credit check on the person you're dating? That's really harsh sounding. But it's what you guys talked about. Behaviors and practices that happen when you're dating carry over and almost always are exponentially worse when you're married. Because when you're dating, you're on your best behavior. Because you're trying to impress. So, if you struggle with loneliness and self-worth before you are married, like you as an individual, you will struggle with loneliness and self-worth after you're married. And you're like, well, no, I'll have someone with me all the time. But that's not true. That will shift. If you struggle in a dating relationship, the person you're dating struggles with self-control and lust, getting married will not change their self-control or their lust. And if they can't control themselves with you, just know there's a good chance they won't be able to control themselves later. You say, well, that doesn't happen. Sadly, that happens more than you want to know. So whatever is happening now, there's a good chance it will happen worse when you're married. Because they're on their best behavior. And on that light note, we asked guys what they loved about this. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. So ladies, tell us what's one annoying thing about your husband.
Just one?
Yeah. And we swung the pendulum the other way in the Lewis house.
The most annoying thing he does, he cannot help, but he snores horribly. And I know he can't help it, but that's it.
There you go.
That's not it, but he told me.
Okay, well, let's do this. Do the annoying and the loving things. So, like, what do you love the most?
Well, he's so good to me. He you guys probably still, do you all still open the door for your girlfriends when you go on a date and stuff? Well, he goes way past that. He goes way beyond that. He drives me to the door. I have never walked from that parking lot into this building. And when we leave, he usually picks me up and takes me back to the door. But I mean, you can't beat that. I'm sorry.
We're starting a new Connect group for men called Be Like Angus. Hashtag. And guys, if you don't sign up, don't worry. She will sign you up on the event. Right.
Meet me at the door.
Yep.
I've got a much longer list of my problems.
Okay. Rachel, what annoys you about David?
People might think there was a lot.
For the record, I don't treat her the way I treat you all.
Yes, thank God.
That is true.
Praise the Lord.
I honestly was trying to think of something earlier, and I'm sure there is something.
Okay, then. So, what do you love about David?
What I love about David, so I like that he. It's not funny. It's going to be nice. I like how goal-oriented he is and disciplined, and that he has a direction and he knows what he wants to do, and that he does it. And I think it's inspirational because I'm not very good at those things.
Grayson, Abby? Grayson, Abby?
Are we starting with the annoyances and then getting better? Okay. So before I say this, y'all just give me the benefit of the doubt, because what annoys me about him is the same thing that annoys him about me. Okay? So if you've ever looked up, if there was a poster for type A personality, this man right here. And if there was a poster for type B, just vibing, doing my thing, that would be me right here. And so sometimes, if you can imagine, it doesn't translate very well when he is like, hey, it is 5:30 sharp. I'm going to eat dinner right now. And then I'm going to bed at this certain time every day. And then I'm going to wake up at this certain time every day. And I'm like, I'm just living my life. I'm living my dreams here. I'm doing what I want to do here. And so sometimes that annoys each other. But what I love so much about my precious husband is that his heart for people and his heart for, he is just as genuine as you see him right now. He is the same in the gym, and he is the same at work, but he is also the same in our home. And he is absolutely 100% genuine everywhere he goes. He is so kind, and it's just through and through Grayson. And he always picks me up sweet treats at the gas station, and I think that is so nice.
Sweet treats. It's important.
Yes. So what's annoying about me?
You really want me to answer that in front of all these people? We're going to have to go see Sharon and Angus later.
Yes. They're coming over tomorrow night. I asked them in advance.
He's done this since we were first married, and somewhere around year 10, I just thought, I got to let it go because it's never going to change. But whenever he eats cereal, he always puts, it doesn't matter. He doesn't do this with any other dish, but it's always this cereal bowl. It doesn't matter if the dishwasher is clean or dirty. The cereal bowl with the milk goes in the sink, and he doesn't rinse it out. So then I come back hours later, and there's nasty milk in the sink.
Horrors.
I know.
Wow.
That's it. But I gave up a while ago. Because it's one of those things it used to annoy me. Now it's just like, oh, well, there's the cereal bowl again.
I thought you were going to say I chew loud.
Well, he does do that too. It's always about the cereal. But
our daughter was saying he chews loud. That's what he said earlier. So what do you love about me?
We balance that by saying he's the one person that I always feel safe with. I feel safe being myself, and I also feel safe, like, in a room. Because if you don't know, I'm pretty much an introvert, and I don't do crowds very well. And so as long as I know he's in the room and I can, like, within eye shot, I'm okay. Like, I'm calm, I can get it together, and I know he's okay. So he makes me feel very safe all the time.
So we're going to take a little bit of a pivot and talk just from our perspective for a second, because I think last year was a fairly crisis year for us. And so we could talk with you guys, because you've had a major health crisis this year. You guys have had scenarios. I know you guys have well. Know this, when I or Pastor Rod or whoever marries you says for better or for worse, you always believe for better. But we really should say for better and for worse, because worse is going to come. And last year was tough for us. For the first time in our marriage, one of us ended up in the emergency room. It was me. It was the first time they said you're almost to stroke level. It was an incredibly difficult health moment for me. Followed up in a matter of weeks after that with a call that went something like this: I can't talk long because the NSA and CIA say I can't. Call Pastor Rod. He has the whole story. I love you. For worse will come. And so I thought it'd be helpful if, so how did you stay sane through that? And what lessons did you learn about marriage in the for worse? Because they've heard my stories.
I said he made me feel safe. So then you automatically think when he's in crisis or he is absent, I all of a sudden don't feel safe. But last year, that was not the case. And I think while crisis is inevitable, preparing for crisis is also inevitable. You have to do it before the crisis happens, or else you're going to fall apart in the crisis. And part of what makes a marriage last is being ready for those crises, because you never know when they're going to come. They may come 6 months into your marriage, or they may come 25 years into your marriage, but they're going to come. So prepare for them ahead of time. And part of preparing for them ahead of time is making sure that you are both equally rooted and grounded in your faith and completely plugged into who Jesus is to you as an individual and as a couple. Because while being with Randy makes me feel safe, I still felt completely safe and at peace, even though he was not safe. And that sounds like kind of a contradiction, but I can explain it no other way than the Holy Spirit gave me peace in that moment, because I had already laid the groundwork of I will worship and I will raise a hallelujah and I will put my trust in Christ no matter what the outcome is. So that's how I answer that. And
I think the prep part is key. And we haven't really talked about a lot of this publicly, even though you've heard all of our stories. But there was the day that I was advised to record the last greetings to my family. And to talk into a camera what could be the last words you give to your wife and your kids. Here's the cool part of that whole thing. As emotional as it was, and I'm the emotional one, I knew in my heart of hearts that however horrible hell they were about to go through, the heaven that was in their souls was greater. That they were going to be okay because we had done groundwork before the crisis. It would be hard. It would be terrible. It would be terrible. But I trusted God and I trusted them. And the reason I could trust them was because we had built the foundation together. So if Bethany or Morgan or Heidi went haywire because this horrible tragedy happened, it would because they purposely chose to go haywire. It wasn't because they were forced to. So, classic situation for pastors and for friends is when your neighbor comes and knocks. This is a classic thing. We'll get an email from somebody at church that says, I need marriage counseling. And you'll say, awesome. And they'll say, I need to see you today. Today. Why did it? Because my husband is leaving tonight. Well, today is too late. In fact, there's not a thing that today's counseling session will do to stop them leaving. This session was needed 8 weeks ago. And so you build those foundations, you build those pieces so that when you get thrown on the rocks, you've got something to hold you up. And you find those pieces and those safety things, and you had that stuff. And as silly as it sounds, it's just an illustration for it, to say it. There was a moment, like, you know, for me, when we were working through it, I had a lot of time on my hands. At one time, I had a lot of time. I was in a little room and I couldn't leave. And so I'm looking at my phone, and I was so grateful for the number of photos that I had of my family. Now, that sounds silly, but I had at one point, I was like collecting and favoriting all the all the photos I had of my family. And so I changed the cover on my phone to a picture from Easter of all three of all the ladies in my family. If I hadn't done the prep work of getting the photo, I wouldn't have been able to have the memory to make me through. It's a little more than just photos, but you know what I'm trying to say. What about the rest of you? You want to kick in? Like, we just got a couple minutes. I mean, you guys have had I didn't prep you for this, but y'all have had a pretty tough year.
Yeah.
What's the crisis taught you guys about your marriage?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, so this year we have had some, seasonal changes and some life changes that we've gone through. But this year has been more of a concrete kind of thing that has happened all at once, and just had some health issues. But I think, like Pastor Randy was saying, it really reiterated kind of our strength with each other, that we are not two separate people. And a lot of times, Grayson travels a lot. I do my own thing kind of, and it feels a lot of times like we're two separate people. But a lot of things that we went through this year proved in our marriage that we are one, and we are a united front, and just made things a lot stronger in our relationship. And I think on the other side, we're a lot better for it, because we had to have those tough conversations. We had to have a lot of battles leading up to it that we didn't really pre-plan or think about. And on the other side of that, we have become a lot stronger, and we've had a lot more preparation for when things like that happen.
Yeah. And I would say, it's just something that I feel like's always been a strength of our marriage is we constantly adjust. We're always talking about, in this season, what's working, what's not working, what do we need to do better. And, I think that's been what's been difficult with Abby's health issues in particular, is just kind of this low-level anxiety and stress that's always in your home, knowing that somebody's dealing with pain and not getting better. And I don't think we fully understood early on how that just wears on you over months. And I just appreciated having the conversations and talking through stuff.
I think that's a good metaphor for us to end on. If you caught that, firm foundation, flexible life. It's a really good way of approaching it. If you have that firm foundation, if you've got something to fall back on, but then to be flexible in how that works through it. If you have a flexible foundation, you're in trouble. Yeah. And if you have a rigid approach to life, you'll have conflict. I want to thank each of you for coming and sharing. Thank you guys for sharing with us. And we want to say to you, we believe that you can have a happy, successful relationship. One of the greatest gifts you can give us as leaders and mentors in your life is a lifetime of happiness in marriage. And we trust that God will do that for you.